see. All right. So we're gonna start right here. So this is the October 2024 session of the mentorship program. I'm expecting to have at least let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 7 participants for this course, for this session. And for instance, our lender usually can get on. Sometimes she doesn't. And our agent usually gets on. She might be tied up because she did text me today. So we're going to have like you three. We're going to have the agent. So we have Mark, we have Sosa, we have Fode, we have Eric. We're going to have Ayana, Elisa. We're going to have Josh. And then most likely Ravi, because one of my other sons is in Cali, and so he's going to be probably tied up. So I'm expecting it's going to be like about, 8 of us, 7 to 8. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how this works out. So let's start it. When we did this program last, we didn't really have a set curriculum. It was going to be where we're going to teach you how to build a house. And then we jump right in, learning how to read plans, site plan surveys, breaking down concrete. And y'all did great because we ended up down to the yardage we needed for concrete. A lot of things we learn in this process. How do you know if you're building or if somebody's building for you? How do you know that you're not getting taken advantage of? How do you know that this is actually what things are? So by the time we go through this process, you're going to know the calculations for how much concrete you need, how much lumber you need, what the costs are going to be. We're going to actually present the material list costs that we get, including the discounts that we get, but at least you'll see what the material bill costs are, and you're going to see the vendor's pricing also. So when you finish this, you should be able to take this case study and say, okay, if I was going to build this house based on what we went through, it should cost this much. And based on that, there should be an expected profit margin of this much if you sell for that price. So when you have that, you have a good study to go along with. In addition to this too, this doesn't just stop here, because while we're doing this basement project, we have some projects in the mountains that so everything I'm doing, we're going to be just sharing everything simultaneously as we go through the sessions, because this house is on septic. The mountain projects are, this house is on sewer. The mountain projects are on septic. And that's a whole different process just to get a permit. We're going to go through the permit phase, the permit process. We're going to bring each phase into it. The mountains projects, we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss what we're going through to get the permit, the septic, the soil test. We're going to go through all that. So you'll know whether it's septic or soil test. You'll know what the plan is. And then we're going to tackle many different plans. While we're in the process of doing this project, we're applying for like 4 more permits for a subdivision in Atlanta where we have like another 13 lots. So while this is going on, by the time we hit January, February, we're going to dive into those lots in Atlanta. And some of those are very challenging. Like we're going to be doing stuff like double basements if you haven't seen that before. And you'll understand why we're doing it, just because of how steep our land is. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to do a lot of houses, walk from beginning to end on it. And then, I'm just encouraging everyone that I think after this, take your test if you can, but you would know how to manage a project. And I think with so many projects coming on, eventually some of y'all be able to take on a project where I'm like, look, I'm going to let y'all project manage this. So if I give you this project, you're going to break it down. That's going to be part of what we're going to do. So you're going to break it down from, you got the plans, you should be able to break it down to what we've learned, at least to create a budget for me, and a materialist, you'll use our resources, but you'll get all that together. So when you present it to me, that's like going to be your final test. You took plans and you broke it down to get actually what it should be, what it should cost you to build, the process is going to be, and all that. So we're going to get real detailed, man. So I'm excited about that. Everybody going, we're going to get through this, get the sales going. And by the time we finish this course and maybe jump onto the next courses, y'all pretty much gonna be good to go. Y'all pretty much gonna be good to go. And then we'll keep on going. I think as I told you before, this isn't a one-time thing. This is what I'm always gonna be doing. So every build has its different challenges. So you're gonna keep learning whatever I learn. Any challenges, fine. And I think I told y'all when I met all of y'all from different aspects of life, my goal is to basically create someone like myself that could take a project and run with it, because ultimately we're all investors. We all pool our resources together at some point. We're tackling like a subdivision. We're tackling multiple lots. So then y'all should be able to jump in and run this thing with my back end where everybody makes money. You could actually take a project and project manage it from beginning to end. And there's going to be some challenges along the way, but we get through it as long as nobody loses money, right? And that's what we're here to do a good project and make money. So I'm going to go over the overview with us that I have on the screen. I sent it in the group chat. I'm going to go over the overview, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the main project that we're starting off with. And, if there's any questions, cool. But starting next week is going to be not much talking. We're going to be getting right to it because there's a lot of things that we have to do to get us to the foundation, get the basement wall built. And already we starting off with a lot going on. So the overview that I have, let me see here. See if I can get this. What I had over here was the program overview. Said the goal of this mentorship program is to develop new contractors, which is what I said to you, by providing practical experience, business knowledge. Yes, we are going to talk about business in terms of construction and also getting a license, and leadership skills needed to run successful projects. The program will consist of hands-on training, theoretical learning, and regular mentorship sessions. So we're going to have weekly mentorship sessions. Of course, if there's holidays, we're going to take that off. But, this is going to be very hands-on, as well as the theory behind it, and I don't claim to know everything. I know what I know. And what I don't know, what I don't know, I can find out for you. So we will get that done. And where am I at here? Any questions that we don't know, we're going to get you the answers. If I have to get the professionals on there to do it, that's what it's going to be. All right. So let's talk about the duration. I'm expecting this to be 6 months. I don't see why we can't finish this in 6 months. Now, 6 months doesn't mean the housing project we're going to do, because I believe that in 6 months, this basement project that we're going to start with will be done. But in 6 months, we should have went through everything we needed to go through, in 6 months, we should have definitely be able to go through everything that we need to go through. And so pardon me one second. Okay. Hey, babe, I'm in a class. Okay. I'll call you back. All right. Yes, I'm in my class. Why are you in this school? I'm in class, babe. I'll call you back. All right. Love you. You look pretty. I'll call you back. All right. All right. Pardon me there. My daughter, she wouldn't stop calling, so I had to talk to her a little bit. So, all right. So basically, our format is in-person and online sessions. So, of course, practical experience and theory. I'm your mentor, Alfred Ade. I have about 20 years in the business. About 20, yeah. Yeah, about 21 years in the business. I started out with renovations. Did that. for many years. And then in 2006, I did my first new construction. I didn't know what I was doing. I relied on some people to teach me. Learned a lot. Then of course, after 2006, 2008, we had the pandemic. Things kind of slowed down. So it wasn't until about 2013, 14 that we kind of started back doing what we do with the housing. And then around 2016, started building again. So, but now I really don't even focus on rehabs. I'm more of a new construction type of person. And that's what I aspire to keep doing. It's cleaner. I always say you can do 10 new construction simultaneously. Very difficult to do 10 rehabs simultaneously, because of the way you can scale the new construction. Every piece is subbed out, everybody's specialized, so it allows you to do several at one time. And I love it. It's clean, less of what you're gonna learn. And I've been through some difficult builds, and I would definitely share that with you as we go through this process, from building in places that aren't even stable, like where there's water underneath, and we had to do that. We did that in Marietta, to getting, dirt compaction, and, you just have to have the right people on your team, because everybody doesn't know how to build, and people would just do stuff and mess you up. And if I didn't have the team I had, I don't think I get as far as I've gotten with this build, and what I know. We'll talk about certain things that you'll do, like getting your blue card, your erosion control card, because every time you disturb land, like we're doing now, you have to have that, because every time you build, you're gonna meet with the erosion control people in the county. And when they come out, they want to see that you have this blue card, which is a one-day course you can take. Um, and we'll share all that information with you so you'll know where to go get it, so that, one, if you're doing your own project, you'll have it. Or if you're on another project, you will have it. And you need to understand, what it's all about. We're going to go over that, but you can take a course to just get your license, and then, they signed off and you're good to go. All right. So what we're going to do is introduction to construction industry and licensing requirements. Now, we're not going to do everything in order. We're going to get into these things, but because the houses are starting right now, we're going to jump straight to the house, start understanding the survey again, understanding the site plan, understanding the elevations, and understanding, especially in this house that I've been posting to your group chats and to your groups on WhatsApp, why we ended up doing what we're doing. You're seeing on the group chats that I've been sending stuff, or on WhatsApp, you're seeing videos I have to build up. I'm trying to explain it. But when we break out the actual site plan and go over everything, you'll understand why we ended up doing what we're doing. And understanding it ahead of time, you'll be able to dictate what the future will hold if you got to do a project like that. Okay. Okay. So we got that. We're going to talk about the overview of the construction industry, mainly residential, because that's what we're doing right now. We're going to talk about the role and responsibilities of a licensed contractor. There's a lot riding on the licensed contractor. And so we're going to discuss that, because that's why I'm very particular in who I help get permits or who I pull permits for, because the responsibilities are huge. I'm going to share some of that information with you. The overview of the state and local licensing requirements. So for all of us who at some point, I think you'll take the test, we need to understand that. We'll discuss that. Insurance, bonds, certifications. We're going to go through that. Building code compliance and regulations. There's actually a code book that is distributed out, and inspectors use that code book because every year some things may change with the code. So you're supposed to have a code book. They expect you to know the code. And this is part of what you'll do when you're taking your test. But at least having access to the code, you can actually understand what things are. In the past, I didn't have a code book, but I had to go and get one. I had a mentor who actually used to work for the city of East Point. He's retired now. And he was helping me out because the plumber, was it a plumber? It was either the plumbing inspector or the electrical inspector. One of them was messing with me. And so the guy that I knew, he was like, hey, man, get this book. He showed me a few things. He said, you have your argument right there. So having the code book, I was able to go back and forth with them, and they couldn't, what the hard time they was giving me had to stop because we're going by the code book, But also you'll learn that even when you have a code book, some cities' ordinances supersede the state guidelines, and they have a right to do that. So if they make you do additional things, and you're like, man, I don't have to do this in this county, it don't matter. If that city says, yo, we want you to put 2 slits in your floor every 2 feet, whatever they want you to do, we want you to spray your house a certain color every 8 feet, whatever they say, as unreasonable as it may sound, their ordinances supersede the state laws. Okay, but we'll talk about all that. The outcome of this, of course, is to understand the legal and ethical framework of being a contractor. Okay. And then we go to this one here. So we go to module 2, project planning and management. And that's what we're going to be doing. What we're going to be doing right now, not just understanding what's happening with the houses, we're going to discuss project planning and management. That's why we're going to jump into this phase first, because we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit by starting what I started. But as we go through the plans, we'll see how we got to that. We're going to discuss the proper pricing and how we're going to manage the subs and how we schedule to make sure everything is happening as it should be. So proper project planning and management. We're going to talk about construction project life cycle from concept to completion. Right now, we're estimating about 6 months. Most bills take about 8 months to a year. Like D.R. Horton, if you go to them, sometimes you get on the contract with them, they say you'll be 8 months to a year before your house is built. There's many things that go into that. Okay. So we have that. We're going to talk about project scheduling. We're not really going to do too much of the Gantt charts, but we'll talk about project scheduling. Well, I might do the Gantt charts. It's fine. Estimating and bidding, creating accurate bids and estimates. Very critical. Very critical. Some of us who've done projects, we understand that, but now we're going to see how it should be done and being realistic about the numbers so you don't get in a situation where your project cannot finish and your project gets out of control. You have to learn how to cut back where you have to and manage things where you can. We're going to discuss that. So you'll know how to estimate and bid. You're going to talk to all our subcontractors. As I'm talking to them, y'all be involved. So you're going to see exactly what my numbers are, what they're giving me, and that's the expectation of what you should have when you go do a project. It shouldn't be anything different. We're going to manage subcontractors and suppliers. Right now, Home Depot is putting in their bid to be my #1 supplier. They came in, they said, we're going to beat every price you got. They offer me ridiculous prices on granite, countertops, quartz. They're trying to be competitive on cabinets, flooring, materials, that paint. They're like, yo, we want your business. Every house you do, we want it. Materials, everything. Some new siding that they're showing me. So we're gonna be talking to them because the manager of the account, she understands we're doing this, and she'll be coming on site. She's more than happy to show us what's going on. Her team will come out. So this is gonna be good for us. So managing subcontractors and suppliers. And of course, quality control and risk management. We'll discuss that too. The practical components. We're going to develop a project schedule and budget for the project. And then shadow mentor during subcontractor meetings. Like I said, it's going to be either on video, and if you're able to be in person, I'll probably gauge how I bring them to the site. Maybe on the weekends, if I could do it that way, where we could all meet up and talk to them about what they're going to do, the pricing, all that, But if not, I will definitely be filming it and we'll be posting it. So you'll see how we're going to do that. All right. And of course, the goal of that is to develop strong project planning and management skills. So you see it all firsthand, okay? And you should be able to do what I'm doing at the end of this build. You're like, I could have done that. And this is what it's going to cost me. All right. Module 3, financial management and job costing. All of this is kind of going hand in hand. Budgeting, job costing, financial forecasting. And the biggest part right here, profit margins and pricing strategies. Because why are we doing this if we're not trying to make money? We should be able to make a certain amount of money every project. So we're going to discuss the project margins, the profit margins. Okay. We're going to talk about invoicing and cash flow management. Okay. And yes, there are taxes, insurance, and financial liabilities that goes on with building a house. There's holding costs, there's fees you got to pay the bank. Depending on what kind of loan you got, we might have a hard money loan. There's a lot of things, but we have to also be forthcoming about those things too. It's in the end, it's profitable, and it always will be. But we don't want to pretend like there aren't any liabilities and that you're just gonna get in here and make $1 million just like that. It's a process. Okay. So that's module 3. And then we're going to practical components. So on the practical component, we're going to analyze financial statements from the projects. Of course, you're going to see it in real time. Everything, every cost, everything that we buy. Even when you're not around, if I got to call Home Depot and order a piece of stick, y'all going to know it. Everything is going into a budget, and we're going to share it and discuss it. And we're going to see why we had to buy this, why we didn't buy this. One thing y'all going to learn from me is some of the things I do, like, I know if someone will come in and offer me a price to do everything one time. Like, for instance, my electrician, right? I'm going to charge you $7 a square foot for your house to do your whole house. Well, that may not be within my financial budget. So what I end up doing is I pay, because I know my guys do proper work because I work with them for years. So I pay my licensed electrician to pull a permit for me. And he's going to inspect your work. And we always pass our inspections. But then I will bring in my laborers who will then come and do the work at a cheaper price, because that electrician, if he brings his guys, is business. He's going to have to charge top dollar to make his profit and overhead. So if he just charges me to use his license, I cut out that project management, profit, and overhead, and I deal with the guys for their labor costs. This is how we're able to make money. This is why you're doing this course too, because you're going to become that project manager. Because guess what? If you hire me to build your house, you have to pay me for my time, my knowledge, my project management. But once you know this stuff, you actually can step in. You know what everything should cost. You know how to dictate who you're going to deal with. You're going to use my resources. Whoever I have, you can use. And then you're saving yourself money. You cut out a huge chunk of money, which goes ultimately back to your pocket, So I use those strategies with my subs. I do it with my plumbing. I do it with my electrical. Not so much on HVAC, because they pretty much give me a good deal to do everything they have to do, and they charge me fairly. But for those components, I definitely try to bring in, manage the cost that way. Okay. So as we do that, well, we're doing the cash flow, we're creating the job reports. Our outcome is definitely to manage the financial aspect of a construction business effectively. As I said, some of us that are on here, I've heard stories where you've seen a project get done, and in the end, you owed money, and you're like, how am I owing money? And I got a brand new build on a house. Doesn't make sense. So when we go through this, you'll be able to look at it and see where things went wrong. Okay. Module 4, contract law and documentation, legal obligations, liens, warranties, managing change orders and contract disputes, permits and regulatory documentation. I know we all need to know what the permit process look like. For us who are here, most of us last year, y'all know I went almost a year just to get a permit through DeKalb County. Crazy. But it's different Things are a little bit better now, but we're going to still go through the permit phases. And when it's time to deal with the permit section of this program, we're going to discuss not just DeKalb, but we're going to discuss other counties and talk about what their permit requirements are. It's good to know. So we'll do a whole session on that, and when we get to that phase. And, the purpose of this, of course, is to understand the legal aspects of contracting and protect your business from risk. One thing I would tell you, just in terms of liens, if you didn't know, as a subcontractor, yes, you can lien a house, but the owner can get rid of that because contractually, the only person that can put a lien on a house is the GC. So normally, when the GC is building your house, me, at the end of the day, I have to give the owner a lien release, which says that they're free from liens from everybody who worked under me, because you need a building permit, you need a GC before you can even get your other trades, your plumbing, HVAC, electrical, flooring, everybody has to fall under the GC. So the GC is one that's legally able to place liens against a property and collect money against that property because they have the contract. A subcontractor really can't do that. Some do it, but you could fight it in court. Or let's say one of you does a job for me on the job site. You don't get paid. You're like, I'm going to lien the property. Well, you could, but once the GC comes and sign the lien release, everything that's underneath it falls off. So we're going to discuss all that stuff. All right. And then, of course, we're going to talk about Module 5, site management and safety compliance. Managing day-to-day operations. There are OSHA regulations and workplace safety standards, as in wearing the proper attire. We don't always do that, but we should. We should have the boots on. We should have the hats on, especially when we're in the construction phase of framing. You don't want to be working on a job site and a piece of wood fly off the second floor, hit you in the head. That's liability. You could lose your whole project like that, getting sued. So we're going to discuss that. And then quality assurance on the job site. The project manager has to make sure that there's, things are going on. We have quality assurance. And all of this is, of course, ensure safety compliance and manage job sites efficiently. An efficient job site, things move a lot better. Okay. And then we get on to the module 6, which is a capstone project. Participants will be required to complete a final capstone project where they will plan, manage, and present a full construction project from start to finish. Develop a comprehensive project plan, including budget, schedule, and safety plan. Present their project to the mentor for feedback. And this is to showcase all acquired skills in the real world scenario, because as I'm telling you, on this capstone project, I'm going to give you real life projects that I have. So it's like real life stuff. You're going to actually have my real plans. It may be Esher Court. It may be mountains. It could be so many different places, but it's going to be an actual project that we're going to build, which all of y'all are going to be involved in it. So I'm going to, disperse it. Different people will have different projects. If I may team a couple of y'all up, depending on how it goes, but I feel like you should have enough information where when we get to the end of this, and I know we got maybe 6 more projects to go, y'all should be able to take one each. If you got a project with septic tank, you should be able to manage that through and break it all down for me. Be like, okay, this is what it's gonna be. Everybody's gonna present. So it may take a week, but everybody's gonna present. Here's what I have. This is what I see from the site plan. This is what I expect. And you're gonna be contacting my people, Home Depot, whoever I get the materials from, my vendors. Y'all gonna have full access. I'm gonna introduce y'all to everyone. So you're gonna reach out, you're gonna do the legwork, you're gonna get the material list, you're gonna get the bid from the vendors. You're gonna have all that, and then you're gonna be able to present a full scope project ready to go. And then if you like it, I'm gonna critique it. And if you're like, yeah, I've done all this work, I want to see it through, that will be a project to manage, and then there'll be a fee associated with that. So it's like, yeah, you will manage this. Even if you're doing it remotely because you got to work or whatever, but you're still able to quarterback and then project manage it. I'll be still with you, but I'll see how you kind of manage things through what you learn and what you put together. The mistakes that come out of it, we'll deal with that, but basically, that's how I expect the final project to go, where you do a real life project. And the best part about it is if you can see it through to the end, that's going to be awesome because it puts money in your pocket, and that to me is the best way to do it. If I see any issues there, we'll address it, but you're going to explain how you came about what you came about and how you got to your budget. So that means we should be able to build this house according to your budget based on what we've learned. And we should be able to see a certain profit margin once I get out of it, because that profit margin dictates a piece of what you're going to get. That's how you're going to get paid. So it's like, it's got to work out. And I think after you've done that, there's nothing else to talk about, because now you're fully ready to handle any project that come your way with me, to work with you. So that's going to be the expectation of this session. So we're going to really get into it heavy. I don't know if anybody have any questions. We could probably got like 13 minutes, but is there any questions from anyone? Expectations, questions, concerns, and before we dive into what we're doing for next week.
So we're gonna do this every week until the project is ended.
Yeah. Even
Except
if
for
we finish, except for holidays. So, and if you can't make it, I'm going to record it and post it. But, I'm going to be giving homework as we go. Like I did last time before. We do the homework, we go over it, then we meet. Some of y'all may have a little bit of an advantage because you did it before, but we're still going to go through the process. The goal is every week, because this project is going to be going on weekly.
Well, we all had a break, so we need a refresher.
Well, that's good. You're right. You're right. When it happened, it was great, but I was thinking about that. Like, man, if I gave everybody this project to say, "Hey, go figure out the concrete for this thing," it might be a little bit hectic. But I have to go back to the archives. So now we're gonna start afresh. We're gonna go through it together, and we expect to do something every week. In times when there may be a slowdown in the process, that's when I'm gonna implement maybe some of those theoretical aspects of the business, where we can discuss more things about the different processes of construction. But I believe that this project will be finished before 6 months in terms of the house. But mind you, like I said, there's some mountain projects going on. There's some other stuff about to start. So while this is going on, we're going to piggyback on some of the new projects. We're going to be doing it double time. We're going to piggyback on some of the new projects and maybe, okay, look, now we're working on this septic project, So we'll be able to multitask all of that. It's not going to be overwhelming. It's going to be enough where we understand, because maybe after we get to the foundation, so like for this particular lady who's buying this, she's making many changes. After I get to the foundation level, there's going to be a little break in the action while I change some of the plans, like on the second floor and stuff like that. She wants these spiral staircase, all that. We're going to go through all that. But while the septic projects is kicking off in the mountains, I'm going to be introducing that. We're going to be talking about that because y'all need to learn that too. It's very interesting. Very interesting. And different counties, how the people deal with you. So yeah, the goal is we're going to constantly learn, but I want to have weekly updates on what we do, minus some holidays. We should be able to catch up every week on what's going on the job site, and at some point I am going to piggyback on some of the jobs we started with so that we can see the outcome of it. And, I think prior to you getting on, Eric, I was just telling Fode that the two houses that were built, somebody came and looked at it this past weekend and was like, "Oh, she love it. She want to buy one." I was like, "All right, cool." And then another person has showed interest. So those are like to the end, clean them up, get the final inspection on them, and then, we're going to go through the sales. And that's something I want to present to the table too, like how a contract was done and how the sale went through. so that maybe once you finish doing your house, you kind of can understand some of the things you got to pay when you're, selling your house, So these are all things that we'll share, for transparency, especially when we're doing projects where if you're an investor or you're investing and you're getting some of the percentage of the profit margin, you need to know. You need to know what all the numbers are. So we're going to discuss everything. Um, yeah, so it's going to be busy, man. I just expect weekly update. So I'm going to be sending the stuff via WhatsApp, like what's on the site. And y'all know y'all more than able to come to the site at any given time. Hit me up. And then as we go through the process and the scheduling, you'll know when people are coming on site or when they're expected to be on site. And then you can come out there and, really, really get down with what these things are, what these numbers are, what we're doing, get into quotes. We're going to get into all that. So as much of y'all that can be there, that'll be cool. But if you can't, I understand because of work, but I will still take videos and post it, and then we'll go over it in the class sessions that we do. But I'm looking to be on Mondays. I know Monday Night Football starts, 8:30. So I'm not trying to be competing with that. My thing is from 7 to 8. We should be able to make a good hour solid, get to what we got to get to. And then, every week we should be looking at something else. So I'll be coming with the basically what part of the curriculum we'll be doing. I'll send that out by Thursday, maybe Friday or the weekend, so that at least y'all know, okay, by Monday, we're going to talk about this, Any other questions?
Yeah.
All right. So I want y'all to see what we're doing now. And like I said, we only have a few minutes, but this right here is the survey that we have for 4676 League Vista, where I've been sending y'all the pictures. And I know from before we discussed, but we're gonna do it now. We're gonna start fresh. One thing we're gonna go through is we're gonna go over these elevations, what we have to remove, the silt fence that we're gonna put up. This was the land before. It had a lot of trees, stuff like that. We have to remove a lot of stuff. The house is sitting somewhere here. You'll see it. We talked a lot in the beginning about elevations, and that comes in so, yeah, it is so important, as you're gonna see when we do these classes. But all these trees that we removed, okay, we talked about there was an easement here for a sewer, but I'm just going through this real quick. We had some trees that we knocked down, that we had to knock down. We're gonna be doing a silt fence, which is gonna go around the property. We're gonna discuss that. I actually got a gentleman from Soil Tech who's gonna come. Some of these things we do ourselves, but in this phase of the project, I want y'all to use professional people. So that way it makes your job easier. I don't want y'all there digging out silt fences. Let's get the pricing together. And if it doesn't work for our budget and we think we're just gonna do it ourselves, we can do that. But a gentleman from Soil Tech is gonna reach out. He's gonna come and look at doing a silt fence for us for all this place, all this lot, and then we're gonna go based on that, and we'll know what we're doing. The construction entrance pad, I posted that today. We and I mentioned that some places call it construction exit. We poured that today. Okay. But here's one thing to look at real quick. Like I said, I know we don't have too much time. This is the critical piece that we're gonna be looking at. Very critical. And we're gonna discuss it more. As you can see, we have a building elevation out here by the street coming off of there. We're close to 784, right? That's our elevation of where we are on the street. However, by the time you get down to the basement and the back of this lot, you're at 774. So you're roughly 10 feet down from the front of your house to here. You're 10 feet down. if you look at this right here, this section right here, it tells you your basement finished floor elevation. That's what the FFE is. Your basement finished floor elevation is what? 774. You see that, right? 774. So it's basically 10 feet from where this elevation is, which is your front of your house. Well, when the guys went and shot the grade, it was way below 774. It was like 770, 769. We were like almost 5 feet lower into the ground. So that's not going to work because per this, we have to raise this floor up to be 774. So when you count how many inches the concrete will be and all that, and you subtract it from whatever you have, you know that you have to build this up. This is what led us to actually bring in all that dirt because we have to build all this up and we have to build all this up to get to that 774 range, and then it's going to drop
So,
back a little bit. Go ahead.
so being that you had to build it up, do you have any time you have to wait to have it settle? I know you bought in the Georgia red clay, but
Mm-hmm.
is there a settling period?
It's not so much a settling period as it is compaction. So once they're compacted, well, then you get to the point of, let me open up here. Okay, so once they compact it, so once they bring in the clay is good for settling, for compaction. They run that Bobcat back and forth, putting that pressure on and compacting it. So they're able to check it to make sure that, okay, every level is good before they do the next level. They have to keep compacting it. One of the videos when the guy came to me, he was like, compaction good? And I was like, yeah, the truck is able to roll on it. It's not sinking. So right now, we're not gonna pour anything. Like we're not gonna pour foundation, we're not gonna pour foundation or nothing. For me, I prefer it to sit for like a week, you know, at least 3 to 4 days. So now that it's compact and good, okay, let it be in, let it be tight. And then when the guys come to look at it for the basement, they're going to also make sure that it's nice and tight and compacted well, before we can pour, because you have to hit solid ground before they can actually dig the footings. So, yes, good question. Me, 3 days to a week is good. But it's solid right now. They're running the equipment on it. So we've raised the floor level now. Now we can start doing what we have to do. So we're gonna go over all that. So this is gonna be the majority of our scope of work next week. We're gonna break down the elevation. We're gonna break down why we have to bring it up and why we have to stake the lots because we have to get it staked. I showed that video. All that's important. A lot of people jump out here and start building. The house is not oriented properly. They didn't get the proper corners done. And they don't even know they got to shoot the grade and elevate this thing up. They just think they're going to build. And then in the end, the house is all messed up. It's sloping down. Nah, I mean, it's not at the level it should be. So all this is very interesting. And once you know that, then yes, you can budget. But I didn't know it was going to be this way because I didn't really take the time to go over this. I hadn't really broken this down. We're going to do this in class. It was just that the lady's permit was going to come to an end. And she was like, she's ready to go. And I'm like, okay, let's get things moving. So I had to get things in motion. But what should have happened is what's happening now. It should have been us sitting down, going over it, discussing it, um, seeing the elevation, and then the contractor goes to shoot the grade, which is what they did. And they saw it and they were like, ooh, this is too low. Your elevation is too low. You have to bring it up. And we would have been discussing that through the class. So we're just going to backtrack and go through all of that. Now how much dirt we need, we wouldn't know until they finish clearing the lot and digging it out. And fortunately for me, we had dirt across the other way, So yeah, we're gonna delve into this deeply because this could have been very costly. It's still cost, but it could have been very costly in terms of if I had to do 64 loads as opposed to 34 loads because I had the dirt. Dirt's not cheap. We got a good deal on this, but dirt running like 250 a load. So 64 times 250. That's an unexpected cost now that you gotta eat as a builder, you know. So this is gonna be all things we talk about. We're gonna dive into it, and then we talk about risk management and evaluating the job properly. These are all the things that is real life, real time. So we're gonna go over all that. It's 8 o'clock, gentlemen. For the rest that didn't show up, I'm gonna stop the recording and shit, stop the recording. We're gonna get to it.